Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah and I'm your host. And before we get started, make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you are subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you all have had a great week thus far. And if you haven't, guess what? It's Friday. It's the weekend. You made it. You did it. Happy Friday, you guys. And it's also Memorial Weekend, I believe. Yes. By the time you guys hear this, I'm actually going to be in Florida on a beach, hopefully getting a tan with I don't really tan very well. That's the whole thing about me and beaches. I like a beach, but it's like nothing happens for me there. I don't get tan. I just get burnt. I get hot. I get impatient. I don't really, it sounds horrible. I love the scenery, but like, I feel like my productivity is at a minimum, which is good. Like we want that. That's what the beach is for. It's for relaxation, but I'm more so excited just to kind of get away for a little bit, leave the hustle and bustle of the busy city of Nashville. We are going to 30A, which is a little tiny town in Florida. It's so cute. It's very aesthetic. It's like the Hamptons meets Florida. We love it there and very much a vibe. I'll be posting pictures you guys can see, but very much excited. And yeah, it is Memorial Day weekend this weekend. We come back on Sunday and we leave on Wednesday. So yeah, by the time you guys hear this, that is where I will be. But anyways, I hope you all have had a great week thus far. I can't speak much to my own week because it is currently 10 a.m. on Tuesday, but that is okay. So far, I've had a pretty great week. Can't complain. The weather here has been all sorts of crazy. Yesterday, it was supposed to rain, but it was beautiful. Today, we have tornado warnings. There's just a lot going on. The weather in Nashville has been so finicky lately. It is set on the weather app, like every single day it's going to rain. And then every single day it's been beautiful, maybe raining like 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there or like 20 minutes at night. It's very, very picky lately. And they say that April showers bring May flowers, but it is currently May 20th and it's still raining. So I don't know what's happening. However, the temperature has definitely risen. The humidity has made its way. It is here. She's here to stay. So definitely gotten that warmer weather that I have been wanting for a very long time. And now the humidity is here as well. So we're just experiencing it all together, but it is all good. It's been nice to have a little bit, to be able to walk outside and like not need a sweatshirt has been kind of nice. Although I love a good sweatshirt. I still wear sweatshirts constantly, no matter what the temperature is. I'll always be in a sweatshirt. That you can count on. Anyways, you guys, let's talk about the episode today. I'm very excited about this topic because this is something that it's been on my mind a lot lately. I've been having a lot of conversations with my friends about this. I've been having a lot of conversations with Hayden about this. I've been having a lot of conversations with my family about this. And that is this whole idea of living your life not on an autopilot. And I think that this is something that I would like to think, if you haven't ever experienced this in your life, please drop your secrets below because I would love to know what it is that you're doing. But I do feel it is a fair assumption to say that most people in their life at a certain point or another have felt that they are living their life on an autopilot. And what I mean by that is not feeling alive. Pretty much. You're going through the days, day in, day out. You're living in your routine. Everything feels mundane. The days are blending together. You feel numb and you're not living life. You're just going through it. Really. You're just going through your life. You're not living it. And I think that when we think about, that numb, disconnected feeling, I think disconnected is a really great word when talking about living on autopilot, because that's really exactly what it is. You're not connecting with yourself. You're not connecting with those around you. You're not connecting with your own mental health, your physical body. I think being disconnected is the perfect way to really sum up that feeling. And I think is something that we don't realize is happening most likely until we're in the thick of it. I know for me personally, I've experienced this many times where I think it's a defense mechanism also. When I feel overwhelmed, I almost just like subconsciously turn my brain off and I just get what has to get done. And I just do what I have to do. And I just get through the next day and I'm just trying to survive. And I just, I think that at a certain point, I don't realize what's happening until I'm so deep into it where I'm like, whoa. Like, I need to reset. I need to pause and I need to shift gears for a moment because what I'm doing is not healthy and not good for me. And I think that we live in a society that is actually a lot more susceptible to living in this autopilot version of themselves than we might like to believe. I think that a lot of us are guilty to waking up. What's the first thing that we do? We take our phone and we scroll, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, whether we're watching TV. We're constantly looking at a screen, constantly looking at someone else's life, that a lot of times we forget that we need to live our own and not just go through the days, but really live it. And I think that a lot of times also what kind of adds on to this feeling of living in autopilot is never being in the present. You're never experiencing the present day for what it is. You're never enjoying the present for what it is. You're always looking forward to the next weekend or the next trip or the next big opportunity. You're never enjoying now, and you're never enjoying what the feeling of now feels like, and you're just falling numb and disconnected and a little bit flat in life. And again, it is a coping mechanism. I really do believe that. I feel like a lot of times when we get overwhelmed or when life just gets too stressful, because I can sit here and say, don't live on autopilot and don't be mundane and don't have routine. But at the end of the day, shit needs to get done. We all have a life. We all have a job. We all have bills. We all have things that need to get done that are really non-negotiables. And that's where I get really frustrated with a lot of times I see people talking about really anything at all, but it seems so out of touch. It's like, oh yeah, just you can drop everything at the drop of a dime or the blink of an eye, and you can just up and leave, and you can up and do all these things. And we don't take into account that, yes, we all have free will, and yes, we can do all of those things. You're right. However, realistically, we all have things that we have to do in life. We all have people to answer to, whether that's your kids or your partner or yourself for that matter. We can't all just up and shift our lives so drastically, although it might seem amazing. It might seem like we want to. And I think a lot of times that is what is used as an example of, oh, you feel like you're living your life on autopilot? Just move across the country. Oh, you feel like you're living your life on autopilot? Just don't respond to anyone for a week and just be by yourself. Like, that's not realistic. It really isn't. And so I'm not here to tell you to have these drastic life changes to try and make yourself feel something again. Because again, I just don't think that that's practical. And I think that when we start to preach that, it can honestly get a little dangerous, because what that's doing is showing you that the only time that you can feel anything other than just an autopilot is when you're making these drastic shifts in your life, or you're doing these catastrophic things that completely make your life turn into a 180 of what it used to be. And again, I don't think that that's a good example to be setting, because I think that what we have to do is we have to learn to live and feel alive within our everyday. And if we're living in this mindset of constantly waiting for the next best thing, the next best trip, the next best vacation, the next best weekend, or we're waiting for our lives to magically have some giant shift, again, we're taking away from the beauty that can be found in our everyday lives now and can make us feel something. That's where I think that whole narrative of you have to have some drastic, massive, dramatic change gets kind of dangerous, because it doesn't allow us to fully be present in our lives now. With that all being said, I do understand that when you're constantly living in routine and you feel like the days are just blending together, it can feel never ending. And you're like, Savannah, there is no beauty to be found in my routine. There is no beauty to be found in my everyday, or there is nothing that like makes me feel alive about, my little small town, or, my weekly routine or my daily routine of just waking up, going to work, coming home, eating dinner, going to sleep, and doing it all over again. I understand that. And I'm not trying to diminish that at all. But I do think what we need to do, if that is what you're telling yourself, and if that's what you're sitting there telling me, is we need to almost dissect your day a little bit and dissect your week a little bit and find pockets in between everything, in between your routine, where you can feel that way. You can feel alive again. You can feel like you're not constantly living on autopilot, because here's where I am going to kind of contradict what I just said. You do have free will. Free will exists. Free will is a thing. Does free will mean you need to pick up your entire life and move it somewhere completely different and start over? No. Free will can mean something as little as going to a different coffee shop in the morning. Free will can mean be as little as, making a different recipe every week to try and switch things up a little bit. There are little pockets of free will that you can have that aren't completely drastic, because trust me, I've said it time and time and time and time and time and time and time again on this podcast. I don't like change. That's a big problem I have. I don't like change. And so whenever change, any big change, I don't like. However, what I do enjoy is finding little added benefits into what already exists in my life. That makes me happy because it doesn't feel as scary. It doesn't feel as drastic. So the free will that I am practicing is just a little tiny bit here and there, just to enhance my life and make it better. I think the first thing that you have to do within all of this is to change your perspective. If you are constantly telling yourself that there's nothing good about your life, or that there is nothing exciting about your life, or that life is happening to you and not for you, if you're just feeding yourself these negative ideas, that's all you're going to think. However, if you switch that and you decide, you know what? This is what I can't change. I can't change a lot of things about life. I can't change who my boss is. I can't change, who I work for. I can't change what my job is. I can't change who my family is. I can't change all these things. I can't change the fact that I have bills. I have things that need to be paid for. I have rent. I have a mortgage, all of those things. Those things, you're right. Certain things you can't change. But what you can change are the little habits in your life that can romanticize your life and romanticize your day and your week and make life exciting again. I know for me, if I feel really stuck in, here's a perfect example. I work from home. And I love working from home. I think it's a huge blessing. The fact that I'm able to work from home is something I never take for granted. However, do I sometimes find myself feeling in a rut when I am constantly having the same routine every day of waking up in my sweatpants and my sweatshirt and sitting down and doing my research and sending my emails and just constantly doing that every single day? Yeah, I get in a little bit of a rut, because you want to know why? I'm not seeing people. I'm really not seeing sunshine a lot of the time. I'm not going outside. I'm confining myself to this house, which I'm very grateful to have, but I'm not changing anything about my life. So what do? It's not drastic. I go to a coffee shop to work. It's changing my environment. You know what that does? It makes me feel a little something. And it's something so simple and so small. And a lot of people could do that. If you feel like you were just in a little bit of a rut and you work from home, or you feel like you just need to get out a little bit, get out. Change your environment. It changes your perspective. I promise you. I did it yesterday. I was working. I haven't gone out of home to work or worked out of the house in a couple weeks, and I just hit this wall yesterday, and I was like, I need to do something different. I need to shift my energy, shift my environment. And it really does. Not only does it make me feel something because it just feels different, I'm shifting my mindset and my mental, because my mind is so used to just doing the same thing over and over again. And whenever I choose like, oh, actually, we're going to do this instead, it wakes me up. It jolts me up. And I'm like, oh, I have free will. I can do this. I can choose with with myself to wake up and actually do something different than the routine that I've allowed myself to fall in and feel like I've fallen flat in. If I ever feel like I need a shift in motivation, or I feel like I'm just, not enjoying life the way that I would like to, that is a great way. Just the little things, because I'm seeing people outside, I'm seeing other people. It's truthfully like, when you go through a breakup and you're like, no one understands, no one gets it, I'm just in my bubble, and it's dark and you're in your room and your lights are off, and you just are like, that's where you're hiding away for a little bit. Maybe that's just my own personal experience. It's not. I know it's not. I know a lot of people feel the same way. But when you actually get yourself up and you change into clothes that are actually presentable, and you put yourself together and you go outside and you realize that there are other people out there, there are other people out in the world, and people are living their lives, and people are doing their thing, and people are driving their cars, and people are, working their jobs, and people are laughing and enjoying life. It's like, wow, there actually is more to life. There's other people out there. There's other worlds that exist other than just mine. Those are really good reminders to have. And again, it's all about perspective a lot of the time. You have to shift your mindset into thinking that things are happening, to you and not for you. When you go through life in this routine of just day in and day out, no wonder you're feeling the way that you're feeling, because nothing is different. You've allowed yourself to fall in this routine, which everyone is guilty of. I'm not saying that for you to be like, oh, I did something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. We're all guilty of creating habits and creating routines. Humans are creatures of habit. That's what we do. But what we need to remind ourselves is that sometimes we need to shift those habits because we need to feel something. Now, some other options and some other examples that, again, everyone's is going to be different. Like whatever it feels like for you to feel alive and to break yourself out of this autopilot cycle, it's going to look different for everyone. Some other examples that I really love are calling an old friend or calling someone you haven't talked to in a while just to catch up, or making dinner plans or setting a date with someone that you haven't seen in a long time just to, again, catch up. It breaks that cycle. And when you feel a sense of comfortability and almost nostalgia in a way, if it's someone that you haven't spoken to in a long time, whether that's someone you haven't talked to, like a hometown friend. Whenever I talk to any of my hometown friends, I feel so fulfilled in a way that I don't get that anywhere else. It fills a sense of nostalgia for me. It makes me feel like all of these old memories get rushed back. I just feel so youthful again in a way. It brings out this fun, playful side of me. And whenever I'm able to do that, I just really cherish it. And that's just something really easy that you can do. Something else is just listening to, this is so silly, but nostalgic music or old music that you haven't listened to in a long time. Whenever I listen to a nostalgic playlist, it brings up just feelings of happiness and joy that I cannot explain, because it takes me out of oh, I'm just going to, press, shuffle on my liked songs on Spotify or this one playlist that I always listen to. No, I'm going to break that out and I'm going to do something a little different. That's what I'm telling you, and kind of wanting to emphasize with finding these little pockets that you can do that in ways that aren't totally drastic or life altering or life changing. But let's say, other examples that you can do are taking a workout class that you've always wanted to try, or journaling, if that's what you're into. I don't love journaling. I will say, I feel like that's the unpopular opinion, only because I feel like it hurts my hands. I can't write for that long. And if my handwriting isn't perfect and I'm watching my handwriting get worse as the pages go, that will make me frustrated. And so journaling just isn't for me. However, if it is for you, that is great. And do a journaling little thing. Or if you want to go to a Michael's craft store and find something that makes you excited, or I don't know, just little things here and there. Take yourself out on a solo date. Go get dinner by yourself. Break the cycle. Just whatever you have to do to break the cycle, do it. Break the cycle. And I think what's important is to also carve out time to do this. I think as someone who's type A, and I know a lot of you can probably relate to this, when you're planning out your week, it's okay, I'm going to do, my 9 to 5 job here, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5. And then you're going to, find your little workout class, okay, in the morning. And that's what you do in this routine, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to, all the stuff that you normally do, all of the stuff that's a part of your routine. I'm going to go grocery shopping here. I'm going to run my errands there. Make time for something different. Tell yourself okay, on Thursday, I'm going to wake up a little bit early. I'm going to go to a different coffee shop that I don't really go to on my way to work. Or on Saturday, I'm going to take a workout class that I've always been wanting to take, and I'm going to sign up right now. That way I'm holding myself accountable and it's not a last minute decision. And this is something that I've been wanting to do. So I'm going to do it, and it's going to break up my week. Just something a little bit different. Or on Tuesday, I'm going to try out a different recipe at home. I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to try out a different recipe. I'm not going to watch the same show that I've been watching on repeat for 10 years. I'm going to switch that up too. I'm very guilty of that. You guys know I love a good repeat comfort show, whether that's One Tree Hill, Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy I've been straying away from a little bit. I haven't watched that in a really long time. I do love, Hayden and I are on a Chicago PD kick right now. Love that. And it's so funny because I'm obsessed with One Tree Hill. So seeing Brooke Davis play Erin Lindsay is just such a different vibe and such a different character, but I love it. Love Chicago PD. We also love Law and Order, but again, whenever we can find just a different movie to watch, or something as small as just a different series of something like a comedy special, something that just shifts us from what our body and our brain is just automatically used to, is always really, really helpful. And I think another big big aspect of this, of, feeling like you're on autopilot and how to break that cycle, is protecting your energy and creating boundaries and being around people who make you feel good and happy, and not people who drain you. I know the times in my life where I have felt like I was on such an autopilot, were the times where I was saying yes to everything. And, I was seeing all these different people and all these different friends and had all these different plans. And honestly, it drained my social battery so much. I thought that I was, actually helping myself by being social and, doing things that were different and fun. And I found myself actually having a harder time because I was not checking in with myself. My social battery was completely drained. I couldn't show up for myself. I couldn't show up for Hayden and our relationship. I felt like I was falling flat, with my friendships themselves. Even though I was dedicating so much time, I felt like I couldn't show up authentically to each friend that I was seeing, because I do have friends in differing friend groups, and I was trying to make time for everyone and fit everyone in like a 5-day span window. And that was just really complicated for me, and it was not helping me. And I felt like I was in a burnout. And I think what I've realized is that autopilot often happens when you are in a burnout, whether that's from social or work or family life, or you just feel like you haven't taken the time and care to tend to yourself and what your needs are. I feel like a lot of times that's when autopilot kicks in, because again, it's that defense mechanism that we all have. So reevaluate where you're prioritizing your time. Reevaluate what you're saying yes to. Reevaluate who you are spending your time around and where you're giving your energy. Because if your energy is just being drained and drained and drained and drained, you are not going to have the time to feel anything, because you're going to be numb. Those feelings are going to go away, and your body, again, is just going to kick in because it's trying to protect you. So realize and recognize, I guess is the better way to put it, where you are putting your time and energy and who you are giving that to. Because the one thing that we can never get back in life is time. That's what my parents always really instilled in me when I was younger, is how important time is, and how it's our one thing that we can never get back no matter what, and to really make good use of it, and to be picky with who you give your time to. And again, that's not in like in a, I don't know. Sometimes when you say that, it can come off as like a superiority complex thing, but it's really not. It's about prioritizing yourself and asking yourself, like, is this serving me? Is being around these people who are not filling my cup and I'm just constantly feeling drained? And that's kind of what was happening for myself. I felt like I was surrounding myself with people where I would just sit there and listen to whatever they were saying. And a lot of the times it was negative, and a lot of the times it was really draining conversation, and it just didn't feel positive and uplifting. And I felt like not only was I draining myself and spreading myself too thin because I wasn't saying no to things and I was just saying yes to everything, but also the people that I was surrounding myself with were draining my battery and not uplifting. It just wasn't an uplifting conversation. It wasn't an uplifting time. And I would leave feeling like, oh, okay, I'm tired. Like I need to go home and sleep. I need to go home and take a nap. So I think that that's something that I really had to realize and recognize that I have control of. Again, we talk about what we have control of in life. There's certain things we don't. The one thing we do is where we put our time and our energy outside of the obvious of work and all of that, So just ask yourself that question as well. I think a great way to really kickstart this whole idea of breaking this autopilot cycle whenever you feel like you're in that, along with perspective, because as I've drilled into you at this point, perspective is a big part of this. Asking yourself what you want your life to look like, whether that's creating a little Pinterest dream board or just envisioning or manifesting, or asking yourself, what do I want out of life? How do I want to feel at the end of the day? What do I want to feel when I wake up? Do I want to feel excited? Do I want to feel energized? Do I want to feel like I'm ready to tackle the day? And by the time I go to bed, like, do I want to feel calm and relaxed? Or do I want to feel like, whatever it is, all of the feelings that you could possibly feel, ask yourself, what do I want to feel? And what do I want my life to look like? And once you ask yourself that, it's easier, I should say, to envision what your day-to-day can look like, where you can find those little pockets where you can rejuvenate your life a little bit. And I think that at first it might feel uncomfortable. getting out of your routine, breaking your routine. I think a lot of times we hear like, oh, it's going to feel so good. It's going to feel amazing. And you're going to break free and it's going to be like the glass is shattering. But sometimes it might feel a little uncomfortable. If you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, chances are it's going to feel a little weird, but lean into that. Don't shy away from it unless you're like actually unhappy and not enjoying it. But like, if it's just discomfort, lean into that. And I think that what's really important to remember, just as an all-encompassing blanket statement, is that we are meant to live a life that doesn't feel like a constant to-do list, and it doesn't feel like we're just checking things off, and it doesn't feel like we're just knocking things off the list and checking boxes and just, crossing our T's and dotting our I's and getting through life and just getting through the day just to go to the next one. Sometimes life is going to feel like that, but it doesn't always have to. And we need to learn to recognize when that is happening to us, because it's not good for our mental health. And when we recognize that, we can quickly pivot and break the cycle. And that's what we need to refocus on and center ourselves in doing when we notice ourselves falling into this kind of dull, mundane autopilot. And here's what I also want to say. I love a routine. So when I say, switch up the routine, it doesn't mean that you have to do a total 180. Routine is important. I always think that a routine is really, really great, but finding pieces and pockets within the routine that you already have to add in additions that can benefit your life in ways that it hasn't before. There's things that you can add into your already existing routine to support the aliveness that you want to feel. And I think that's important to remember as well. The last thing I want to leave you with is that you do have more control than you think. You do have free will. And although I don't mean that you have free will to move across the world, you can if you want, but like, is that the expectation I want to put on you? No, but you do have more control in your life than you actually might feel in your day to day, because when you're constantly on autopilot and you've just numbed out and disconnected, you're going to feel like you don't have the power to overcome that feeling, but you do. And you need to remind yourself you do. And you need to remind yourself that you can take a step back and say, hey, what I've been doing isn't cutting it. How I've been living isn't cutting it. And I need to shift. I need to make a change because I'm not happy with how I have been just strolling through life at this point. So I want to ask you guys, you guys here today, I want to ask you if there is one thing that you can do next week to break the cycle of being an autopilot if you are feeling that way. If you're not, if you're like, no, Steph, I've got this down pat, I am good, I have broken the cycle, I don't feel like this, then good for you. You can leave your tips and tricks in the comments below. But if you are feeling this way right now, if you're feeling kind of stuck and just feeling a little like, I don't know, just I'm not feeling great, I want to know if there's anything that you can be doing in your routine to shift that, whether that's just starting out as a perspective thing, whether it's actually putting word to action. What is it that you can do to help change how you're feeling living in autopilot, even in the world of routine and even having a routine and habit? How can we shift it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But with that being said, you guys, that's going to be all for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, if you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah. I'm your host. And before you leave, again, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll be back next week with a brand new one for you guys, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.